you, Eddie. Thank you, American Sephardi Federation, Jason and company. It's a pleasure to be here. Drora, thank you as well. While they're working this out, I'll get started with a little bit of what I have to say for us. Most of what we're going to do today is a musical presentation, so it's a bit multimedia, which is why they're running around getting this organized in the background. We're also a little bit short of time because of our schedule, but we're going to get right to it. So today my focus is on the tradition of musical dialogue in Morocco, primarily. My work as an ethnomusicologist and a professor of Sephardic studies really goes beyond North Africa into other parts of the Middle East, and particularly intercultural exchange between Jews and Muslims from further to the east, as well as into Turkey and Greece and Syria and so forth. The Ladino traditions, the Arabic traditions, and the Hebrew traditions. So because it's always nice to see some pictures, we'll get some things up here. This is really showing from 18th century Rabbi David Hassin, a very prolific paitan or poet in Morocco. This is in his own hand. Of course, the idea of turning letters into a form of art themselves, a visual culture, is really what this representation is about. Again, shared symbolism with things like the Hamsa, for instance. And here are some Torah cases with scrolls inside, of course, that also reflect the aesthetic from the region. So Morocco's cultural landscape, we have some different things to consider here. I'm just going to read a bit and let this kind of live on its own. That Morocco is a country known for its rich ethnic, geographic, religious, linguistic, and even topographical diversity. In this crucible of necessary cohabitation, Jewish and Muslim communities have shared from one another, borrowed from one another, and distinguished themselves from one another for centuries. The relationships between these communities have been complicated by several factors, including political trends, economic challenges, and religious influencers. As today's Moroccan community grows into a diasporic community, new boundaries have been drawn, often promoting inclusion and exclusion in new and surprising ways. As the flow of ideas about Moroccan heritage rages on, the value on expressive culture grows stronger. So by drawing upon an interdisciplinary frame, speaking to a multitude of interested audiences, we aim to bring to the fore voices from the past and present to characterize the place of Jewish life in Morocco, to strengthen ties to the homeland and to the fellowship it embodies. And we are participating in the fashioning of a narrative which emphasizes the promise of intercultural exchange and cooperation. This is represented in the successes of intercultural exchange. And these successes serve as powerful positive model for the world based upon centuries of opportunities taken for the progress and success of humanity, despite forces that have sought to limit this ideal through human energies put towards fostering destruction, disrepair, disunity, and dislocation. So I'm offering a bit of a corrective on the notion today of complete and utter destruction of Jewish communal life in the Arab lands, to suggest that Morocco is indeed an example for us historically and presently of Jewish communal life that is thriving and re-energizing in many ways. So Morocco's musical traditions, a field of human experience encapsulating the lives of all her heirs, serve to express a distinctive spirit of intercultural exchange that provide a precious gem in the kingdom's crown. Many of these musical traditions evoke a deep historical dialogue between Jews and Muslims, bringing the dialogue into the present. As I write here, musical expression memorializes the homeland, contesting the boundaries of distinctive diasporic ethnic identities. And it's my aim today to share instances where soundscape and approaches to aesthetics present areas of Jewish-Muslim interculturality, signifying distinctive boundaries of a shared Moroccan ethnic identity. So it must be noted that we're living through a transitional time when any discussion of a Moroccan ethnic identity is indeed a pan-ethnic identity, challenging regional, once provincial identities that were once more distinctive. And the role of music in this transformation will be hinted at, but deserves an entirely different discussion saved for another time. So just to get to what we were looking at here, something happened there. We have kind of a frame of reference here of soundscape and aesthetics that we're going to get into. And the soundscape being things defined by the context of performance, whether it's a hafla or a concert stage or a festival or a synagogue or a zawiya or any of these kinds of contexts of performance. Sonic frameworks, languages, the language of modes particularly, instruments. So we're going to hear these North African modes as opposed to the further to the east modes, as today I'm focusing really on North Africa. Instruments which you do find further to the east as well as to the north in Europe, such as the violin, but these are creating the sonic framework. The languages, Arabic, Hebrew, Hakatiya, Judeo-Arabic, Judeo-Berber. But today I'm really focusing on Hebrew and Arabic, as the conference title is really about Arab lands. So I thought I would focus on Arabic. Textual themes, ideas that are actually embodied in the texts, the lyrics themselves, ideas that are shared, metaphors that are shared, allegories that are shared. These are important fields of study or recognition. Finally, some of the practices, literally, like tarkib, which you'll hear a bit today, where the Hebrew and the Arabic are phonetically similar, where the Arabic has been used as the ground force for creating the Hebrew text itself so that it would sound the same and operate the same. This is not just a Weird Al Yankovic remaking of a song, but rather, something that is really part of the tradition, and it's a masterful approach and technique. So we are going to actually, I guess, move along a little bit, so we will just go right to this piece here. I'm going to invite my friends, Zafar Tawil, who's playing violin today, and Jeremy Smith, who's playing percussion. I will also give a little plug at the moment. The New York Andalus Ensemble, which Eddie mentioned I am the artistic director and founder of, is a large ensemble here in New York City that is about North African and Spanish musical cultures, and is multi-faith, multi-instruments, choir, all of this incredible stuff happening right here in New York. And it's happening right next week around the corner. We're having our winter concert at La Nacional. So a special thing for ASF folks, members and folks who are here today at the conference, there's a promo code ASF for a discount on tickets. So if you are interested to come see the large ensemble, which is about 15 people, it's next week, next Wednesday night. So New York Andalus Ensemble. But for now, these two gentlemen who are going to join me are part of the larger group, and we're going to do a smaller, more intimate version of some of this music just now. This piece, Khaliuni Ma'a, is written by the great composer, lyricist, Albert Suissa, who was active in the mid-20th century, and he writes here in Arabic. He's a Jewish composer, but Arabic is really the tongue that he wants to express in. And these are some of the ideas, as I was mentioning before, some of the kinds of ideas about love as expressing the relationship between the humans and the divine that he is expressing in this text. But he's also expressing something very Jewish too, which is, no matter what you think of my obsession with my beloved, who may or may not be showing his or her love at the moment, I'm not going anywhere. That is Albert Suissa. see. What do I have going on here next? Ah, yes. To talk a bit about the aesthetics. You know, music is a field, ethnomusicology, of course, the field of inquiry for this field, about how these musical expressions are really creating an opportunity to see humans encoding ideas or ways as we go through from generation to generation. Call them cultures, call them traditions, call them reproductions, call them changes, call them, you know, ways that we don't change things or canonize things. But what we can look at to experience or parse this intercultural exchange, what it means to be a Jew from this part of the world, is to see the very same things of what it means to be a Muslim from this part of the world. It is to be part of this world. It is the same fruits and same vegetables that grow from the same earth that feeds both of these people. It is the same sounds that circulate in the air. It is the same ways of expressing language, and in this case, music. You know, often we like to think about, it's getting more resonant. I don't know, maybe the divine likes what I'm saying. It's like, woo! Okay. So, you know. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. So we look at these things and the ways. What's that? Yes. These ways of expressing the language, which, you know, we often like to use the term music as the universal language. I prefer to think of it as music as a language of universals. That we have certain things that are universally part of language, but the languages are distinctive. And this is distinctly the Jewish North African language. And these things that make part of this language distinct are these things which I've identified here. Melodic aesthetics, rhythmic aesthetics, performance aesthetics. So we're going to check out a few of these things that we, you know, like to see or hear or experience to place the music in its place. So on the melodic aesthetic side, contrafacta, which is a very common technique of literally refashioning words to an existing melody that may belong to another song. Not unlike you will find in some synagogues today where Adon Olam is sung to a Bob Dylan song. Or the very traditional Adon Olam that everybody knows pretty well, the Adon Olam Asher Mada, was a German drinking song. Okay? So that's contrafacta. Yes. So that's contrafacta at work. This is certainly a very common practice in the Moroccan community. Going back again. But along with contrafacta, something a little deeper. It's called tarkib, which I mentioned before. This next piece is going to express some tarkib. This is from the Ala Andalusi classical repertoire, much of what I get into with the larger ensemble. And the text for this particular piece, Ahim ya Sultani, becomes Torat ya Atani. So that the phonetics, literally, of the Arabic and the Hebrew are very similar. One more time, Ahim ya Sultani becomes Torat ya Atani. So you have the same syllables, but you also have the same sounds coming forth. So we're going to perform this piece. This is a little bit of a longer stretch. Let's call this a mini symphonic movement. And we'll see that we can hear the Arabic and the Hebrew side by side. This is, by the way, in a nuba, which of course also evokes connections to Andalus, which is a shared history for the Jews and Muslims from this region. And the nuba are song cycles or song suites. This one in the mode called Ush'ak, which is not, by the way, related to Ush'ak anywhere else in the Middle East. So this is very much distinctively a product of Jews and Muslims and their collaborations in this land. was what we were singing. Just for following along. Now this one, just to get to a little bit of the rhythmic aesthetics and to get to you a little bit, we're going to ask you to be part of this. Yes, we're going to have you be part of this one. So, many of you may be familiar with clapping. Let's hear that clap. Yeah. aesthetics is what I call the Moroccan clap. And that is to really spread those fingers, right? And to look for a little bird inside between your hands. And that clap will cut through most any other claps. And when everybody's doing it together, it's really exciting. So, on this, we're just going to set the groove for a second and have this clap going. So, right, we can all do that. Nice. And this is really the rhythm of the blood. So, let's see, what else do I have for us here? Oh, that's that. I wanted to sing along for everything. Yes, getting to this idea of Muslim-Jewish symbiosis, and I think we'll end up concluding with this one song here. Notes are. Oh, sorry, the song just keeps resonating, you know? I hope it does for you too. Yes, good. So, this symbiosis is really the key, which really goes back even to Goitien's work, you know, on the Cairo Geniza, and it's certainly something that he promoted this idea, and I think that we see it within the expressions of music. And this is why it's such an important field for recognizing cultural expression. We're going to take you out with this piece, and I'm just going to read here what I'll let you, I guess I could read this here, or you'll read that one. Let me read this. While our conference title suggests the finality to the kind of Jewish communal life, that which is associated with arid lands, my hope is that through music we can recognize evolving and new expressions of communal life in lands that supersede any particular ethnic designation. In the case of musical culture, we see a transmutation of an inherently symbiotic expression of Jewish-Muslim communal life, that which is for both an expression of aridness into new constructs. We can see such a communal life expressed in more recent diasporas as part of a historically rooted and now burgeoning scene in Morocco, and even as a venue or field for rapprochement in Israel-Palestine. It is within such expression of culture, such as music, that we can see each other, one another, as part of a community. This is not fanciful or magical thinking. We have seen musical expression here today as a means for promoting communal life, for negotiating ideas relating to religion, politics, philosophy, and even social justice. In the field of musical expression, including in this presentation's focus on musical performance, we witness and experience the richness of a Moroccan communal identity that is rooted in the idea of symbiosis. As an orchestra demands different voices and instruments perform together, may we endeavor to learn how to sing together in tune. So I'll end with Chazak, Chazak, Benit Chazek. Rabna Allah Ya'afikum Ya'afina. This last piece we're going to sing is called Ya Rabbi, and I'm going to include you on this one as well. Ya Rabbi. There we go. Ya Rabbi. Okay, good. So you'll know exactly when you're supposed to bring that one in.
Rabbi